welcome to another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. I'm your host, Sascha, and we have Steven Morrison in studio with us. I really wouldn't be able to do his bio justice, as with many Aggies, we continue to do. I am eager to jump into today's discussion, as Steve Mo is a husband, father, entrepreneur, consultant, and hell, a strategist. I am so thankful for Rael, who has introduced her network. Shout out to the production team. And we're going to get right into it. So, Steve Mo, welcome to Big Moves, Bigger Conversations.
Thank you. I appreciate that welcome. I'm humbled. I'm grateful to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So thank you. And all those things you said, some are still relevant and true, but over the course of my career, I've wore many hats, many titles, and I'm grateful for all of them as they've been opportunities and stepping stones for the next.
Yes.
But I would be remiss if I, misled the audience and said that I'm still wearing all of those hats right now. I'm definitely a husband. I'm definitely a father, and somewhat of a strategist, yes. But no, it's great. I'm grateful to be here to speak on a lot of those things and more.
Yeah, and I love personally being able to have Aggies come, because I know we do amazing things, but to be able to put it on a platform and have really candid conversations for people to see, I think way back when, it was always a conversation of, should I attend a HBCU?
Of course.
Right? And then somewhere along the way, it got really sexy.
Yeah.
And now everyone wants to attend a HBCU. But I am proud to know that as a HBCU alum, you were thriving well before it became sexy.
Well, let me just say this before we get into it.
Yeah.
The requirements to get into A&T today are a lot different than when I was applying at A&T in 2004.
Speak on it.
I might have aged myself a little bit, but I'm very proud of where the interest has come for HBCU enrollment. I'm very proud of all the great things that our illustrious university has done in growth and accreditation and maintaining all of that.
Yeah.
I'm even more grateful for the opportunity to learn in the great Crosby third floor, if you will.
Shout out.
But if I were going to school today, I don't know if I could get into A&T based on what I came out of high school with. You know what I'm saying? I had an athletic background in high school, and so I knew what I wanted to be, which was the next Stuart Scott.
Okay.
Lord rest his soul.
Yeah.
But, journalism was the opening and the interest, and I knew that A&T did it the best at that time, at least from what I experienced.
Yes.
And so it's funny because during those years, you dream of opportunities like this. You dream of doing relevant work in the business and being able to come on into a fellow alum's platform to talk about it. Yeah. So I'm grateful for Rael. I'm grateful for you having this platform to speak, and I hope that if it does nothing else but inspire someone that is either thinking about going to HBCU, currently at a HBCU, or recently graduated from one and try to navigate their own career space. So
absolutely. And we're I would be remiss to not shout out Bamboo Studio, who is also owned by not Aggies, but by HBCU alum, which I think is so important, right? We're pouring back into that community because we are one community. And to the point where you noted, I don't know if I would be able to get into it now. That's beautiful, right? Because that means that as a university, you're seeing the investment. We're not only increasing our membership, but the quality of student.
Absolutely.
Love that. Okay, but Steve, we're all things HBCU, of course, but that's not today's topic.
No.
Today, I want you to sort of be reflective a little bit.
Sure.
When you think about your journey so far, what's the one thing people wouldn't know about the grind behind the highlight reel?
Well, let's talk about it for a little bit, right? Because in 2011 is when I started my career, my true career for what I went to undergrad for, right? So I was fortunate to start at ESPN as a production assistant. And in 2011, my goal was I'm just going to come in here and grind. I'm going to do what I need to do to remain kept, if you will. It was one of those 7-month temporary programs. And, looking back on it, your family, they're all excited for you. Oh, my God, my son works at ESPN. Your peers the same. And at the end of the day, it's like nobody really knows, one, what Bristol, Connecticut is like. at all, to what the pay is like early on for a production assistant during that time.
Yes.
You know, this is before they restructured the same program that I was speaking about. And so it was a lot of long nights, a lot of blizzards, a lot of culturally shocking moments that I've never thought I would experience while I was in undergrad. And so when people, you know, they see the highlights, we're always about celebrating ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I'm at the job the day I saw Chris Carter. You know, oh man, you got the best job in the world.
Wait, are you name dropping?
No. Just an example. You know, there are a lot of athletes that work at ESPN. I'm not really name dropping, but I got to paint the picture the right way, you know? And so it's like they see those highlights, but they don't see what it's like when you start a shift at 4 o'clock and you get off at 2 a.m. or you got a baseball game that's running long and you're the PA for that game. You got to cut 4 different versions of a highlight, you know, to turn it over. And then, you know, you're working oddball hours. And so, again, the highlights are one thing, but the grind, the mental fortitude, and the ability to stand out amongst a very talented crowd of colleagues is really where you make a name for yourself. And so, you know, my career started at ESPN. I spent 10 wonderful years there. I was fortunate to win an Emmy Award coming out of the COVID year. And was fortunate to also get my master's degree while there during the time in which they were paying for graduate degrees. And so I'm grateful for, you know, not taking on more student loans than I need to take on right now. So with all that said, that period was the foundation of where my career has pivoted, now, not once but twice since then. And so a lot of the highlights, you know, they still stand out on my Instagram feed or on my LinkedIn, but people don't see the, you know, did I make enough money this month on my check? You know, I'm now living in Connecticut, which is a little different. You know, the cost of living is different than South Carolina. All the things are challenging, but then also I'm trying to stay at this job. I'm trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to elevate and create my own pathway. I was fortunate enough to do that starting in year 3, once I moved into the talent producer role, where I was fortunate enough to be the liaison between the 4-letter network and every athlete and entertainer that joined various shows. So First Take, Sports Center, College Game Day, a lot of talent-driven shows. And I was in the middle of that, you know, being the connector or the plug, if you will. I mean, you know, y'all know me as Steve or the plug, some of y'all out there. So let's just keep it on brand for a second.
But, I heard you.
You know, but no, in all honesty, it's a lot of whiteboarding. It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of sleepless nights. It's a lot of multitasking, tough conversations. But at the end of the day, it makes the highlights that much more enjoyable when people are like, oh my God. You know, as you and, you know, I'm not going to name drop again, so you can keep me on point.
Okay.
Nah.
Moves, bigger conversations.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you walk around all day with Magic Johnson and 2 Chainz, and then you're doing culturally relevant things with Kevin Hart early in his career, and you're blending culture into the entertainment space, and you just sit in a very unique place, and that idolization from your peers and your family, although sometimes it didn't reflect itself on the pay stub until later in my career, it still made those tough times worth it all.
I love that. And I think you've dropped just so many gems in that. And hey, you're not always going to come right out the gate and be where you want to be.
Not at all.
You have to be willing to position yourself, to network, to get in those rooms. And then I think the most important thing that you've highlighted, and I don't feel like a lot of people have an appreciation for this, but that mindset of, I'm gonna keep going. I still don't understand what the end road looks like, or this doesn't really align to what I wanted when I started, but I'm gonna keep movement. And I love that. I mean, I feel like I'm even in this moment, like with the podcast, right? I'm growing, and sometimes everyone has an expectation for where I should be now, but it's like, yo, I'm still moving.
As long as you keep working. I mean, at the end of the day, I would be telling the untruth if I told you that in 2012, I knew exactly where I was going to be right now in 2025. I mean, if you'd have asked me in 2009, I told you I was going to get a job at ESPN, I'd say I'd be there for the rest of my career. Well, you know, the TV industry just isn't the same anymore. And so when you sit through layoffs and you sit through tough times in a changing economy and a changing marketplace, you quickly have to understand the necessity to pivot. And so my first big pivot was when I decided to walk away. And I tell this story a lot to my personal friends. I don't think I've ever told it in a podcast form.
We love an exclusive.
But the same day I received the phone call, which was 2021, after obviously the COVID year, and at this point the Emmys were announced non-publicly.
Okay.
My then boss was like, "Hey, just want to let you know we're going to buy, you won an Emmy and we're going to buy you one, and congratulations," and all the things.
Yeah.
And it was just a very humbling and heartwarming call. Like one of the calls, it's the epitome of my career, right?
Yeah.
And for TV rather. And I was like, "Thank you so much. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful." Also, I want to put in my 2 weeks notice. I'm out. Same breath, same conversation. She was like, "Well."
Why the turn? I guess so. Provide us perspective there.
Yeah.
Why was that your decision at that time?
It was time. I realized that the TV industry had a shorter lifespan that I was comfortable with.
Okay.
Also, my prior boss of the talent producer department, the great Lisa Stokes. Shout out to Lisa. I owe a lot of my career to you. Love you, Lisa.
Love that.
It's like my sister.
Okay.
She had just left earlier, like January. And when she departed, she went to this agency called One Team Partners. She's still there right now. And, when you're building a new team, and at this time, NIL had just became a thing.
Right.
It aligned more with what I wanted to do and what I decided I wanted to do when I was in graduate school.
Okay.
Now, ESPN gave me the opportunity.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to read the writing on the wall, and leadership changes, and things just don't align with your long-term goals anymore. And that's some things we'll get into a little later about short-term and long-term goals, which is a lot very relevant to what I'm discussing right now. But when she left, I got that phone call. It was simple. It was I had an opportunity in front of me, and unfortunately I couldn't achieve those things while I tried very, very hard and diligently internally at ESPN. It just wasn't there.
Right.
And
it's a structure.
It's a structure.
Yeah.
It's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's a there's still some great people there, but at the time there was a lot of change, and the leadership, again, I just wasn't in alignment with. And the leader that I loved the most and that I really grew under, she was gone. So I just didn't feel the loyalty anymore.
I would feel remiss if I didn't highlight, and we had actually talked about this in another episode, the impact of Black women. And so you talked about Lisa. How instrumental has she been in your career?
Now, I'm going to just mildly correct you, because while Lisa is very culturally driven, she's white.
And
She's amazing.
we love a correction.
She's amazing.
Because that was an assumption, right?
Yeah.
And you don't often, I think you'll provide a different perspective, right? Because you often assume that the individuals who are rooting for you in these rooms will look like you.
No, Lisa put me, but Lisa put me in position.
back.
Lisa put me in position. Let me tell you now. Lisa has a blended family. She's from Boston, Massachusetts area. She is very woke, very driven. She doesn't even see color.
An ally.
She aligns, absolutely. And she aligns with a lot of the things that I align with. And we're only about maybe 2 or 3 years different in age. So we grew up through the ESPN ranks. I wouldn't say together, but she had a couple laps in front of me, but she opened doors that I promise you were not open to production assistants at that time. This group, the talent production group, was a very protective unit, because you were dealing with addresses and telephone numbers of any major athlete and entertainer there was, right? So everybody saw the end goal, again, the highlights within the highlight machine, right? They're like, "Oh, you're walking around with the athletes doing the ESPN car wash, and this is so cool." And Lisa's like, we don't offer this to PAs, but you're a little different.
Yeah.
And so I allow myself to lean into my personality, which is about to come out in a little bit right now, and my network. And she gave me a very unique opportunity that wasn't even in the curriculum, if you will, of the PA track. ESPN was like, be a production assistant, then be a segment producer, then an AP. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I know the right type of athletes. I grew up in South Carolina with a couple of great ones. And so I'm like, this is more in alignment with what I want to do.
Yeah.
I met Lisa. I moonlight over there a little bit with that group. And she was like, I'm gonna make something for you.
Yeah.
And to this day, we're still close. I just spoke to one of her students at Georgetown today, and she was at my wedding. So she is an ally, but now she's a sister. She's not. She's literally a sister.
You corrected me, but the build-up was, this is my sister.
This
and
is
you
my,
know what?
You know what?
She can't be your sister.
She is. Now, don't get me wrong. Our group was very diverse,
Oh, good.
and we were a very happy unit.
Yeah.
But, you know, when people remove the head of that group, it's like the culture immediately
Shifted,
changes.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm out.
Yeah. All right. We dove in. I think we went ahead, but
That's
I
cool.
want to pull us back just a tad bit.
Yeah.
Working in production, design, and athlete marketing, when did you realize your vision was bigger than just one lane?
I would say probably 2017.
Okay.
The reason that year sticks out is because I just came off probably my most productive year in production.
Okay.
To the point where, like, I'm at this point, I'm on the road, you know, going into my 4th year with College Game Day and SEC Nation.
Okay.
So I'm choosing between 2 different road shows to travel for a Saturday game that's going to broadcast on a college campus.
Yeah.
Right? I'm bringing in, you know, the best of the best athletes, coaches, you name it, entertainers. And I'm just like, you know what? I have this unique ability to make people feel really comfortable in foreign places.
Yes.
And I have a unique ability to contact just about anybody in a short period of time.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the College Game Day setup, they determine where they're going on a Sunday. And unless it's like a Georgia, Florida, or a, you know, a marquee matchup, they don't have any inclination of where the next show is going to be.
Okay.
And so, you know, you're often challenged with tight deadlines to turn around talent for various segments and shows. At this point, I'm in my groove, and I'm like, okay, I could do this at a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Right? Some people say, well, damn, how do you get bigger than College Game Day and you know, ESPN? Well, you do. You can. And I did, fortunately. And so it was just like one of those, you know, hey, I might have been coming out of the shower, looking in the mirror like, you're destined for greater.
Love that.
And sometimes the talent that you're able to work alongside, they also motivate you. And when 2017 came, I said, you know what? I want to be a sports agent. What's the next step? Like, I have all these contacts. I'm working with all these major agencies, right?
Yeah.
The biggest of the biggest agencies from, you know, at the time, Rock Nation was just getting started. You know, word to my colleagues at Rock Nation, wearing the brand right now. You know, CAA, Athletes First, all the big agencies, right? And so I'm like, I think I could do their job. And then I start researching, right? And it's like, this is again, going back to the grind that people don't see. I start whiteboarding. I still whiteboard to this day.
Yeah.
So I'm putting all these ideas on my whiteboard. And I'm like, well, how do I get there? What do I need to do? Well, you know, some people say, well, you might need a law degree before you become an agent. Actually, you only need a master's. According to the NFLPA, you only need a secondary education. So I looked at the Georgetown program for professionals, and I said, you know what, I'm going to enroll. So I got married in 2018, had no time to start grad school. But 2019 came around, and that 2020, probably my best professional year at ESPN. And that's where I felt like that's why it was time.
Yeah.
I just came off my best year. My leadership pivoted. Very, you know, reward-driven. 2021 comes, I graduate. And then it's like, it's on to now is the time. Now is the perfect segue to get more experience in an agency setting.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Lisa, again, opened the door. She called me one day and said, hey, bud, you want to work with me again? I said, of course I do.
Yeah.
Let's go do it again. Let's go make something great. And One Team Partners is an agency that was built by the NFLPA, the MLBPA, and they support the WNBPA and a slew of other player associations. But that was going to give me an opportunity to dive into the other side of my career trajectory, to dive into the direct athlete relations piece, right? But also to build something that was like licensing, a little bit of tech, a lot of marketing, creative campaigns, like all the things I wanted to touch that ESPN had too many walls, too many silos, right? It's too massive.
Right.
So you can't touch everything there. You're talking about 37, almost 40 live shows across TV and simulcast today. But at One Team Partners, I could touch a little bit of licensing. I could touch a little bit of athlete marketing, content creation. And those 2 years catapult me to where I am today.
I love that. And again, I want to be a little bit reflective even in this conversation. When he presented an opportunity, and you tell me if you think this is true, but to me, at least in my experience, when surrounded by the right individuals with the right level of support and feeling comfortable about potentially not falling, but missteps, but feeling like I can do it and still thrive makes the difference.
Now you're right. And
well, if you're going to say I'm right, look into the camera and tell them.
No, she's absolutely right. Because that pivot was a great pivot. The pivot after that, though, we'll get into it, was not as successful.
Okay.
But sometimes you got to be comfortable taking a risk.
Absolutely.
And obviously not knowing the results of that risk. The time I had with Lisa was great at One Team Partners. And I felt like in 2 years, I had proven to myself that I'm ready to go into the agency space.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to leave this agency nameless for respect of their
and we don't want
future
any,
endeavors.
We don't want anything.
It's fine. I mean, it's on my LinkedIn. It's fine. But there are some agencies out there that, kind of misrepresent who they are.
Yes.
And so when you trust people in this business, as you meet them throughout your relationships and your past scenarios and dealings, you anticipate and you trust them to the point of, hey, if there's an opportunity and you're bringing it to me, I trust that it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I had probably the worst professional decision I made was taking that risk and going to New York City and working for that agency.
Yeah.
So it was biggest misstep was a culture. The culture just wasn't there.
Culture within the organization. Because New York is beautiful.
Yeah, no. Listen, I love the concrete jungle. I need to get back there soon now to see some of my colleagues. I've been fortunate to do a lot of great things in the great state of New York City. A lot of my entrepreneur endeavors were, they flourished there at MSG Networks. Word to Talea, my girl at MSG Networks. So a lot of great things have come out of New York City. It's just that's the one blip, if you will, so far on my career. And it's a learning lesson. Like sometimes you can't trust everyone. Sometimes you got to be more focused on being your authentic self, regardless of what they say you can and cannot do.
Right.
Because you know what results you're capable of bringing in.
Right.
So I just find it funny that as small as this business is, those same good people are still in my inbox trying to get deals done.
Yeah. But again, just because it didn't go right, or well, it was a lesson learned.
Absolutely.
And you're protected in a way that even when things go awry, you're still flourishing.
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel like that's what Auntie teaches you.
You don't
as well.
stop. You don't.
You don't stop.
You don't stop. I don't flinch.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You hit me.
Okay. It's okay. I'll never forget the conversation when I told him I wasn't coming back to New York for that role. I was like, look, at the time, my wife and I were going through some family growth experiences, if you will. I won't say challenges because we're here now. And so, I'm like, hey, look, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we think we could just separate. We could just separate right now. I was like, great, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Send the paperwork. I'll sign it. What else you need from me? Still have my apartment, my stuff still there. None of that matter.
We're fine.
None of that matter. Because at the time, I was, fortunately to be recruited where I am right now by a very great company. I would also keep nameless because I want y'all all in my business. I'm just joking. But in all seriousness, the benefit of working and getting those experiences, when you do right by the right people, and your reputation speaks for itself.
Opportunity.
They're endless.
Yeah, opportunity is there.
And I tell people all the time, sometimes it's not about like applying for the next role or, I don't think I would say that the recruitment found me, and I was grateful for the opportunity because it was some things that just God sent, and that was one of them. Yeah,
I want to hit on a point around you've jumped quite a bit throughout your career, different aspects, and you've also interacted and worked with people. From a negotiation lens, how much has that played into either your role or where you've landed to date?
It's very challenging to negotiate for pro bono.
Okay.
Let me tell you about that. So I was booking talent, right? For 8 of the 10 years at ESPN, we don't pay for interviews. So you have to sell the viewership. Yeah. You have to sell the allure of coming on ESPN and promoting your brand or your book or whatever it is you're promoting. So once you become good at negotiating pro bono, when you start adding money into it, it becomes easier. A little easier, right? Okay. Well, again, that's the foundation. Also there's a difference between searching for sales opportunity and then being the one that's presenting or making the key decision for a brand or for a partner. And I've sat on both sides of the table. I think I'm better suited on the brand side.
Okay.
Just because from a cultural standpoint, all the things we talked about to this point,
Yes.
they're the ingredients of a true partnership, right?
Okay.
You go find that partner that aligns, you negotiate the deal, you redline the contract, you make sure all the key stakeholders get visibility on it, you communicate at the highest level, and then once the deal is signed, now you have to execute the plan.
Right.
And that's, that's a culmination of my experience. Now, I will say this, I learned this for the generation that's behind me, that it's okay to switch, to change lanes a little bit. Like my mother, she worked 30 years, 35 years as an accountant. And, you think that, I'm 38, so I'm like, I'm gonna work 40 years again at ESPN. And, but what I've learned from the generation beneath me is that, hey, every a year and a half, 2 years, it's all right to switch. Sometimes you do it for salary jumping purposes. Other times you do it for experiences and not getting, bogged down into the monotony of one particular role. So I learned that late. Obviously, that's how you have 10 years at one company, and then you have 2, and then a year, and then now I'm going on year 2 where I currently am. And I will say it's finding a balance. Like if you find the right culture, the right leadership, and the right work, and sounds cliche to where it doesn't feel like work, you have a different purpose. And so that's where I am right now. I'm in a really good groove, have a really good culture, probably as good as a culture that Lisa set where I am right now. And I can see myself being here for very long time.
Love that. And Steve, we're going to stay in contact because I want to make sure my viewers see in the longevity of this podcast, the trajectory of your career, even from this point and further.
For sure.
We've had a lot of really good discussion. I think, Steve, perhaps you should do a book. I don't know that you are in line with how many gems you drop in a 30-minute period.
I don't think I've dropped anything yet. I haven't really touched on the entrepreneurial role, which is fine. I appreciate that. I think at some point, and one of my goals, long-term goals, is to be a college professor.
Okay.
And I think with the mix of career experience and obviously the scholastic requirements, at some point I might do that. I might
again, they say sometimes we are our biggest critics. I'm sitting here as a journalist. But all joking aside, I think you have a way of creating that space, right? You already kind of talked about it, right? Creating a space where people want to hear more from you. I don't want to bypass your entrepreneurial goals or the things in which you're doing. So hit on that. Share with the people your other endeavors.
Okay, so I told you again, Lisa was an advocate, right? All right, so let me take you back to 2021.
Yes.
All right, so sports betting in New York is about to become legal in 2022. And my colleague at MSG Networks, she was the VP of talent.
Okay.
And so she's like, yo, this is like August 2021, I believe. She's like, yo, I know you're the talent whisperer, the talent guru. I need to find like 8 to 10 people to outfit this entire sports betting network for MSG that doesn't exist right now, for the lack of better terms. I'm like, okay, well, I got a full-time job, right? I don't know if I can really do this. Now based on where I am at one team, it's a newer company, not a lot of like HR rules.
Right.
I think we had one
NDA.
HR person. Right. No, none of that. And so I took it right to Lisa because again, there's a circle of trust there. I'm like, Lisa, I got this very unique opportunity to hunt talent. And to procure talent for MSG. It came through Talea. We both know her. And she's like, I think you should do it. And like, she didn't even flinch. She was like, just work in the margins, work, early morning, late night, do it. Like, talent, Steve, it'd be easy for you. Well, that launched the Morrison Group, which is my LLC, right? We all have an LLC somewhere in there, or at least they say on the internet. But in all seriousness, I was fortunate enough to get 2 contracts from MSG Networks.
Wow.
And then I got a 3rd contract from the Boardroom, which is Kevin Durant, Rich Kleiman collaboration, like a sports business platform, but also by way of networks. And so, what's funny is I tell this story again to my close peers all the time, not for the pocket watchers out there though. I made more money as an entrepreneur than I did probably in 7 of the 10 years I worked at ESPN. Like,
I'm an accountant, and
crazy.
I will tell you, the money is tax different.
Oh,
your
absolutely.
ability is
Absolutely.
a little,
Absolutely.
they don't want to teach you how important entrepreneurship is.
Right.
because of that reason, right?
Right.
Who else would find being in corporate America sexy if we knew that the money was outside of those walls?
Yeah, it is, and you're right. It's not tax. I got a good tax person that made it work for me.
Yeah.
But when you get those net 30 direct deposits, they hit a little different.
Yeah,
and then,
it's risk.
Right.
It's risk.
Right. And then, so I firmly believe that if I didn't shut down my business because I joined an agency that did have some, a lot of red tape around it, I would have I would still been thriving today in that lane. Right now, I'm not pursuing any new entrepreneur opportunities, but I do have a cousin that's like my brother. I call him cousin, but he's like my brother, honestly, that he's an entrepreneur. And so I consult with him. His name is Sage Thomas, Dunk Master, if you will. He builds classic cars for various reasons. And, I was fortunate to work with him, again, in the margins. And so now you're starting to see the overlap. Now it's like the corporate America is like literally 9 to 5. And then everything after 5 o'clock is the Morrison Group. And that's where the grind really, that's where I made my skin, if you will, right? That's where I'm negotiating deals now with Netflix, now with spirit companies, now with clothing companies. Now we're doing all these different endeavors, and I'm literally consulting through his business arm, which is drag racing and gambling and all the things. But I'm pouring it to him because he trusts me because we grew up together. His brother is my best friend, and so that entrepreneurial role kind of went parallel with my corporate world, right? And so the people say all the time, allow your 9 to 5 to fuel your entrepreneurship endeavors or your big dreams. And look, I did that before it was cool to do it, or I would say as it was becoming, the thing that everybody is doing now. But I learned a lot during that time. I also learned how to work, when there wasn't a lot of sleep. Also, prioritizing showing up at family events or staying at your house and just grinding through the work. But it all pays off in the end. But I would tell, any young person right now to, balance yourself better than I probably did.
And I don't want to be dismissive of what corporate America provides,
Not
in
at
that
all.
it does help you and educate you, probably where you're not having as many foot mishaps, where you're like, oh, what works well. You've seen it in a corporate environment. You've also been able to see how people are receptive of that. One of the things, like a lot of what we do from a big moves, bigger conversations perspective, as far as like onboarding, it comes from my corporate background, right? I know that people have a certain expectation when they relate to professionalism. And I wouldn't have gotten that had I not been in those rooms. And so I definitely think there's overlap and opportunity.
Yeah, the acumen. You get the acumen from your corporate side, you get the grind, you get the organization, and then you just put your spin on it and you're an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, I want to introduce a new game.
Okay.
Are you open?
I'm here. I'm here for you. Like I'm here for the games. I'm here for everything. Let me know what we got.
We love that. We want to switch it up a little bit and do a this or that.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw out a this or that, and you're going to tell me, which one you believe aligns to you.
Okay.
And where you want to explain, fine, but in reality, quick.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's go. Cash flow or brand awareness?
Cash flow.
Okay. Creative freedom or market demand?
Creative freedom.
Niche or mainstream?
Niche.
Partnership or independence?
Partnership.
Immediate impact or long-term legacy?
Long-term legacy.
Love that. Anyone you want to expand on, or you feel good about your answers?
I feel great about my answers, but everything I'm doing right now is for long-term legacy for my daughter, my wife, my family. You talk about generational curses being broken. Like I didn't come from a family that had like a generational curse. Like thankfully my family, for the most part, they all went to college. Not that it matters, but they all pretty successful in their own lane, right? And it's just me and my mom in our immediate family. But everything I'm doing right now is to set my daughter and my family up for long-term success, a different type of success than what I grew up with, which again wasn't bad, but just a legacy, a different legacy. So when she looks at her dad's name and maybe this podcast years from now, she's like, oh, my dad did some dope shit. Yeah, I did. We did.
We love that. And I want to stay on the same vein as speaking to your daughter. So if your daughter was listening, or is listening rather, back to this conversation years from now, as you just mentioned, What's one lesson you want her to take away from your journey?
Dare to dream.
Yeah.
And you know what? Family wasn't always in alignment with what I was going to do.
Okay.
So sometimes your own family can doubt you, or they can, pour water on your fierce and fiery dreams. But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I want her to grow up knowing that she could be literally anything she wants to be. If she wants to follow her mom's track and become a pharmacist and a doctor of pharmacy, great. If you want to follow your dad's track and become a creative person and marketer, if you will, absolutely. You want to take your own lane and do your own thing, I'm going to support you however I need to support you. But I want you to go and be great, and I want you to go and do things differently, push the limits. That's my message to her.
I love that, and I almost got a little teary-eyed.
But also stay spiritually grounded along the way, but definitely push the limits. Like even if your daddy tell you that's a bad idea, sometimes you just gotta believe in it yourself. I'm gonna support you, baby. I'm gonna support you, Rye. Her name is Riley. But but please believe that, sometimes your dreams and your goals are exactly what they are. They're your dreams and your goals. And people may not find alignment in them. They may ask you why.
Yeah.
So you gotta quiet the noise and just stay focused.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast, and he said, think about us on this set, right? Right now you can hear a pin drop.
Right.
That's the same way you have to be tunnel vision when it comes to your dream. Because once we hit cut, the noise starts back up.
Yep.
But focus in, or have that level of focus that you can hear a pin drop.
It takes a little bit of selfishness now. Like to be great, you have to be like selfish for your own, literally. Like you have to ignore some of the noise and just focus on your goal.
Yeah.
I promise you it's going to be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Because if I listened to my mom, I probably would have never moved to Connecticut and went to ESPN. She was like, "There's no
Don't
way.
do it, son.
No, you want to live up there?
Stay here.
Right, stay here in South Carolina." I'm not doing that. But I'll send you a picture of my first check. That was her thing. She was like, "I don't even believe you got the job up there. Send me the picture of your first check when you get it." I was like, "All right, Mom." Now she laugh at that, but that's the true story.
And so, Steve, before we go, for the listeners who are building, what's one thing they should do this week to move their dream forward?
Cold call and outreach 3 people in the industry you want to move into or advance in. Ask for coffee, ask for a conversation. But not only start there, continue the conversation if you find alignment in that after that first initial one. So I challenge you to go out, do some cold calling. Look, it could be a little daunting for some, a little, scary for some as well, but you have to get used to that because in this business, it's a lot of cold calling, a lot of cold outreach. And so I challenge you to do that because your biggest advocate is going to be your network. They're going to speak on your behalf when you're not present. So make sure you build a fabulous network and build a true relationship. Let's not make it so transactional. All right. And so I challenge you guys to do that and to follow up, master the art of follow up. If you do those 2 things, you'll be fine.
Love that. And I love the time that we were able to spend. Steve Morrison, I want to just say affectionately thank you for your time on today's podcast. And until next time, thank you for joining Big Moves, Bigger Conversations.